On the day I was to marry the heir to the Marquis of Jingyuan, his mistress Ruanyang went into labor. I stopped him from rushing out the door, threatening to take my own life unless he stayed to complete the wedding ceremony. Our marriage was an imperial betrothal. His departure would have been an act of defiance against the emperor's edict. Ruanyang died in childbirth. Along with their baby, she never even got to see him one last time. He hated me bitterly for it, after we married. He made my life a living hell. When I was pregnant and in labor, he sealed off the Marquis's mansion, forbidding anyone from fetching a midwife or a doctor. He placed Ruanyang's memorial tablet before me. She died because of you, he said coldly. Now your life will pay for hers. I have already written a letter of divorce to cast you out. After you die, your body will be thrown into a mass grave. In the clan records, Ruanyang will be listed as the lawful lady of the Marquis's mansion. She will be buried in the Xiao family ancestral tomb, and when I die, I will be laid to rest beside her. I died from a hemorrhage during childbirth, right there in front of Ruanyang's memorial tablet. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on our wedding day. My lord, it's an emergency. Our young lady is in labor. The midwife says it's a difficult birth, please. My lord, go to her at once. A maid with a delicate, lotus-like face burst into the wedding hall, interrupting our ceremony. She knelt on the floor, her eyes streaming with tears as she kowtowed repeatedly. My lord, please save our young lady. The child she carries is yours. My fingers tightened around the red silk ribbon in my hand. The man across from me let go of his end abruptly. Xiao Qian's face turned ashen with shock. He gasped out, "What did you say? How could Ruanyang be having a difficult labor?" Xiao Qian was about to abandon all the guests and rush off with the maid. In my past life, this was the moment I stopped him, forbidding him from leaving and forcing him to finish the wedding. It made him hate me for the rest of his life. But this time, I would not stand in his way. I tore off my red bridal veil in one swift motion. "My lord," I said, my voice trembling with feigned shock and hurt. "Who is this Ruanyang? Why does this maid claim she is carrying your child?" I put on a look of innocent bewilderment, making myself appear as a pitiful, wronged bride-to-be for all to see. The guests began to murmur among themselves, "How pitiful Miss Shen is. She hasn't even entered the household yet, and her husband already has a mistress in labor. What can she do? She's going to be a stepmother to his illegitimate son as soon as she marries him. Who knows if her own children will ever inherit the Marquis title now? Xiao Qian has gone too far. This is an imperial betrothal. If Miss Shen makes a fuss and calls off the wedding, the Xiao family will be openly defying the emperor's will. What young lady would tolerate such a humiliation on her wedding day? The Xiao family is trampling the Shen family's dignity underfoot." Xiao Qian scowled at my questioning, clearly annoyed. "Ruiji, the child in Ruanyang's belly is mine. I cannot let her die. I will explain everything to you later." With that, he turned to leave. "Wait a moment." I stepped forward, blocking his path. "My lord, today is our wedding day. We have not even paid homage to the heavens and earth yet, and you are abandoning me for a mistress. What do you take the Shen family for? If you already had a beloved, why did you not speak up earlier? Must you humiliate me like this on our wedding day? A daughter of the Shen family does not beg to marry into the Xiao family." Xiao Qian flung his sleeve in irritation. "It is not that I refuse to marry you. Ruanyang's life is hanging in the balance. How could I stand by and watch her die?" My eyes welled up with tears, which teetered on my lashes, ready to fall. But our marriage was personally arranged by His Majesty the Emperor. The auspicious hour for the ceremony was chosen by the imperial astronomer. If you leave now, this wedding will be invalidated. I suggest you explain yourself to His Majesty tomorrow. As I spoke, the tears spilled over, rolling down my cheeks, playing the part of a delicate, wronged woman. This time, I had mastered it. I would make sure everyone knew that Xiao Qian was in the wrong, that the shame lay with the Xiao family. The Marquis and Marchioness of Jingyuan listened to the whispers of the guests, their faces burning with embarrassment. Finally, they stepped forward to intervene. Qian, stop this nonsense at once. Today is your wedding day. How dare you abandon Miss Shen and leave her stranded? Compose yourself immediately. The ceremony will proceed at once. The maid dropped to her knees with a thud. My Lord Marquis, my Lady Marchioness, the child our young lady carries is the first grandson of the Marquis's mansion. Can you really be so heartless? My lord, for your sake, our young lady has followed you without any official status, bearing your children. Do you really intend to let her die? Xiao Qian echoed her pleas, turning to his parents. Father, mother, that is your own grandson in her belly. Can you truly bear to see him perish? Then he turned his gaze back to me. His tone sharp. Since this is an imperial betrothal, the marriage is already a done deal. Why rush the ceremony? Is the daughter of the esteemed Shen family so eager to marry into the Xiao family that she cannot wait a single day? Does she not feel ashamed to admit it? He paused, softening his tone slightly as he tried to placate me. Ruiji, I know you are a gentle-natured woman. When you become the mistress of the household, you and Ruanyang will surely get along like sisters. Can we not live in harmony? I let out a cold laugh. My lord, we are not yet married. This union is not yet sealed. I have no sisterly bond with your mistress. I tossed the red bridal veil onto the floor in disgust. Since you are so desperate to save her life, and since Ruanyang carries your child, how could I, Shun Ruiji, be so cruel as to stop you from saving her? But since ancient times, one cannot have both love and duty. You may leave, my lord. I will not stand in your way, however. This marriage between our two families cannot be nullified because of your recklessness. After all, no one in this mansion can afford the crime of defying the emperor's edict. The Marquis of Jingyuan's face turned livid with rage. Qian, this is an act of treason against the emperor's will. How dare you risk the entire Marquis's mansion for a mere mistress? Xiao Qian shot back defiantly. Father, as long as I agree to marry her, what does it matter when we perform the ceremony? You are far too cowardly. He completely disregarded the authority of the imperial edict, scoffing dismissively. Is the emperor really going to dictate when we consummate our marriage just because he arranged it? Watching him finally enrage the Marquis, I smiled faintly and stepped forward, looking directly at the Marquis and Marchioness. I spoke each word slowly and clearly, ensuring every guest in the hall heard me. My Lord Marquis, my Lady Marchioness. The imperial edict states that the Xiao and Shen families are to form an alliance through marriage, but it never specified whom I must marry. The heir already has a beloved. I, Shen Ruiji, will not steal another woman's happiness. My marriage to him is hereby nullified. Today, the man I will marry in his place is the second young master Xiao. A gasp of shock rippled through the hall. Xiao Qian let out a loud, mocking laugh. What did you say? You want to marry my second brother? He is nothing but a brute of a warrior. While I am the rightful heir to the Marquis of Jingyuan, are you certain this is what you want? I met his gaze unflinchingly. So what if he is? You may be the heir. But you already had a mistress and a child with her long before you proposed to me. Why would I marry a man as disloyal as you? The second young master may be a military man, but he has no wives, concubines, or maidservants in his chambers. He is 1,000 times, 10,000 times better than you. I fixed him with a taunting smile. Or perhaps you are having second thoughts about letting me go. Oh, but I wonder how Ruanyang is faring in her difficult labor right now. Is she writhing in agony? The maid, hearing my words, grabbed Xiao Qian's robe in desperation. My lord, we cannot delay any longer. Our young lady is at her breaking point. Xiao Qian glared at me, his expression filled with contempt. Very well. If you would rather be the wife of a mere warrior than the lady of the Marquis's mansion, so be it. Once Ruanyang gives birth to my son, I will take her as my lawful wife. Shinrueiji, do not come begging me to take you back later." With that, he tore off his wedding robes and threw them to the ground, storming out of the hall in a fury as all the guests watched in stunned silence. I turned to my nanny, speaking softly but firmly, "Return to the mansion at once, fetch my father and mother, and bring Xiao Qian's betrothal letter with you." My parents arrived in a hurry. Having heard the news, my father's face was dark with anger as he stared down the old marquis. What a fine display the Marquis of Jingyuan's family has put on. Do you take the Grand Tutor's household for fools? The heir has publicly humiliated my daughter on their wedding day for the sake of a mistress. Do not blame me if I submit a memorial to the emperor tomorrow." Exposing his shameless conduct, I stepped forward to stop my father. "Father, I have already made myself clear to Xiao Qian I will never marry him. The imperial edict only decreed an alliance between the Xiao and Shen families. It never specified which son I must wed. Now that Xiao Qian has proven himself unworthy with his mistress, I will never marry him. But the Xiao family has more than one son. There is also General Xiao Qifeng, the Tiger of Valor." My mother whispered anxiously, "Rueiji, you do not have to force yourself to endure this humiliation. Even if we take this matter before the emperor himself, the fault will lie squarely with the Xiao family." I smiled gently. Revoking an imperial betrothal was no easy matter, but changing the groom was. The emperor would not care whether I married the eldest or the second son of the Xiao family. All he cared about was the alliance between our two powerful families, a check and balance against each other. Besides, in my past life, when Xiao Qian had driven me to my death for Ruanyang's sake, it was Xiao Qifeng who had denounced him at my funeral for his treachery, for killing his own lawful wife over a worthless mistress. It was he who had exposed Xiao Qian's true colors to the world. My father fell silent, thinking for a moment, then nodded in agreement. He turned to the Marquis of Jingyuan. "What say you, Marquis?" The Marquis and Marchioness nodded frantically, their faces pale with fear. "This is an excellent solution. It is only a pity that Miss Shen must be wronged like this. Someone, fetch Qifeng at once." My father held up a hand, cutting him off sharply. "My daughter is wronged, make no mistake. The heir has shown a complete lack of virtue and has openly defied the emperor's edict. Marquis, if word of this reaches His Majesty's ears, the Jingyuan Marquisate will not escape his wrath. The heir entered into an engagement with my daughter while already keeping a mistress and then had the audacity to make a spectacle of it on their wedding day. If you fail to punish him for his misconduct, the emperor will surely assume that such dishonorable behavior has your full approval." The Marquis of Jingyuan froze, panic overtaking his features. What should we do?" I spoke up, my voice calm and measured. "Since you acknowledge that my daughter has been wronged, and since I have chosen to uphold the dignity of both our families by not making a scene, and since my father has refrained from submitting a memorial to the emperor, there is only one course of action left. Marquis, you should submit a memorial to the emperor, requesting that Xiao Qian be stripped of his title as heir, and that the title be passed to Xiao Qifeng instead. After all, as the heir, Xiao Qian has accomplished nothing but bringing disgrace to the Marquisate time and again. The second young master, however, is a valiant warrior who has won countless battles and earned the emperor's personal praise. Do you not think he would be a far more worthy heir? Or do you believe that a man who openly defies the emperor's edict is fit to inherit the marquisate?" The Marquis of Jingyuan's face turned ashen with defeat. Finally, he nodded his head. "Very well, as you wish. Tomorrow, I will submit a memorial to the emperor, requesting that the title of heir be transferred to Qifeng. Here comes the second young master," someone announced. Xiao Qifeng stood at the back of the crowd. No one knew how long he had been listening. He stepped forward, his tall, imposing figure cutting an impressive silhouette. The Marquis of Jingyuan patted him on the shoulder, his voice heavy with regret and hope. "From now on, the Jingyuan Marquisate will rest on your shoulders, Qifeng." Your elder brother has chosen to disregard the future of our family for his own selfish desires, so let him have his freedom. From this day forward, he is no longer the heir to the marquisate." Xiao Qifeng turned to me, his dark eyes holding mine in a steady, intense gaze. "Miss Shen, you must know that I am only a soldier. I know nothing of poetry, calligraphy, or painting. I will not be able to accompany you in composing poems or brewing tea while watching the snowfall. But I, Xiao Qifeng, swear to you, if you marry me, I will protect you for the rest of my life. Will you have me?" I smiled and said, "I will," to the sound of festive music. I replaced my red veil and bowed to heaven and earth with Xiao Qifeng, becoming husband and wife. Watching the burning dragon and phoenix candles, I finally let go of the weight in my heart. This time, I had not only escaped Xiao Qian, but also stripped him of his title as heir. I couldn't wait to see if he would regret it, regret losing the marquisate, regret losing everything, all for the sake of a woman named Ruanyang. The story of Xiao Qian abandoning his bride on their wedding day for his mistress spread throughout the capital overnight. Xiao Qian did not return home all night. Even when Xiao Qifeng and I were to offer tea to the elders and greet the clan relatives, the Marquis sent men to fetch him back, but to everyone's surprise, Xiao Qian did not return alone. He brought Ruanyang with him. The baby nestled in her arms. She wore a white fox fur cloak and a jewel-encrusted forehead band. Leaning weakly against Xiao Qian as they entered the mansion, her voice dripping with sweetness, she curtsied while holding the baby. "Greetings to you, Marquis and Marchioness. Bower, say hello to your grandfather and grandmother." She teased the infant in her arms, her face glowing with pride. The Marquis and Marchioness's faces turned ashen with rage. "Do you know what day this is? How dare you bring her into this mansion?" Xiao Qian said. "Father, mother." Ruanyang risked her life to give birth to Bower. He is the legitimate eldest grandson of the marquisate. Ruanyang and I are truly in love. I have made up my mind to take her as my lawful wife, the lady of the Marquis's heir. Ruanyang looked at him with tearful gratitude. "My beloved Xiao, having you in this life is more than enough for me. My child and I ask for nothing more. Please do not quarrel with the Marquis and Marchioness on our behalf." Xiao Qian held her tightly in his arms. "You gave birth to Bower for me. You are a great hero of the Jingyuan Marquisate. My mind is made up. You shall be the lady of the heir of the Jingyuan Marquisate." His eyes softened when he saw me walking in, dressed in my bright red wedding gown. "I know I wronged you yesterday by not completing our wedding ceremony, leaving you to face all the guests alone. I did not expect you to be so sensible, though, managing the wedding night on your own without making a fuss. I will make it up to you in the future." My words about cancelling our marriage last night were spoken in anger. "I will treat you well from now on. It is just that Ruanyang bore me my eldest son, so I can only make her the lady of the heir, but you shall be my secondary wife." Ruanyang is gentle and delicate. She has no talent for managing the household. In the future, you will take charge of the marquisate's affairs. That should be enough to preserve your dignity. You and Ruanyang must learn to get along like sisters." I frowned, listening to his absurd words, about to retort when someone spoke up for me instead. "What are you saying to my wife, elder brother, Rueji? It is time for us to offer tea to the elders." Xiao Qifeng stepped out from behind me, wrapping an arm around my waist and leading me forward gently. Xiao Qian froze in shock. "What wife? What nonsense are you talking about? I was the one supposed to marry Rueji. How could she possibly be your wife?" Xiao Qifeng smiled, lacing his fingers through mine and holding my hand tightly as he looked at his brother. "No, you did not marry her. You left to go to your Ruanyang. Did you not? By now, the entire capital knows. The man who bowed to heaven and earth with her, the man who shared her wedding night, was me." Xiao Qian let out a roar of fury. "Impossible. Father, mother, how could you allow this to happen? Are we to become the laughingstock of the entire capital?" The Marquis scowled at him, his face dark with anger. You have the audacity to mention being a laughingstock. If it were not for Chifeng, our entire family would have been disgraced beyond repair. The emperor's edict arrives, a eunuch's voice cut through the chaos, silencing everyone instantly. By the mandate of heaven, the emperor decrees, Xiao Qian, heir to the Marquis of Jingyuan, has shown a complete lack of virtue and disregarded the imperial favor bestowed upon him. The emperor grants the Marquis of Jingyuan's request, stripping Xiao Qian of his title as heir to the Jingyuan Marquisate. The title shall be passed to Xiao Chifeng instead. His wife, Lady Shen, is intelligent, virtuous, dignified, and graceful. She is hereby conferred the rank of second-class imperial lady. May you two, husband and wife, remain united in purpose, so decrees the emperor. Everyone knelt to receive the edict and offer their thanks, everyone except Xiao Qian, who stood frozen, as if struck dumb. It was not until the eunuch had left that he finally snapped out of his daze, collapsing to the ground in disbelief. Why, I am the rightful heir to the marquisate. How dare they strip me of my title? His eyes blazing with rage, he turned to me. You shameless, fickle woman, we were betrothed. Just because I went to save Ruanyang, you went and married another man. I laughed coldly at his audacious attempt to turn the tables on me. Xiao Qian, yesterday was the day of our wedding, the day of the alliance between our two families, personally decreed by the emperor. You chose to disregard it. But the Xiao family could not afford to risk the lives of the entire clan for your recklessness. If the emperor had chosen to punish us for defying his edict, would you have borne the blame alone, would the marquis? Or would you have let hundreds of innocent members of the Xiao clan pay for your selfishness? You were already keeping a mistress while betrothed to me, and now you dare to pin the blame on me. You may not care if you live or die, but the rest of us wish to live in peace. You did not care about the marquisate's future yesterday, so why are you suddenly so desperate to cling to your title as heir now? The marquis, seated on the main throne, finally spoke, his voice cold and authoritative. Qian, you are utterly lacking in responsibility, and you nearly brought disaster upon our entire family. It was my decision to submit the memorial requesting to change the heir. There is nothing more to be said. Xiao Qian roared with fury. I am the heir. You cannot do this to me. The marquis stared at him coldly, his eyes filled with profound disappointment. What? Do you intend to defy the emperor's edict as well? The words died in Xiao Qian's throat. He glared at Xiao Chifeng and me, his gaze burning with hatred, but no one paid him any mind. The entire household was filled with joy as they watched Xiao Chifeng and me offer tea to the elders and greet the clan relatives, completing the final rites of our wedding. When we reached Xiao Qian, I bowed respectfully and offered him a cup of tea. Elder brother, please have some tea. Then I turned to Ruanyang, feigning confusion. And what should I call you? If I call you sister-in-law, that would imply you are already married into the family, but you are not. If you are to be my brother's concubine, then I must beg your pardon. I shall not offer you tea as a concubine. Ruanyang's eyes welled up with tears as she clung to Xiao Qian's sleeve. My beloved Xiao. Xiao Qian seemed to snap out of his stupor, his gaze turning sharp as he glared at me. She is your sister-in-law. I will marry her on the day of Bao's 1-month celebration. I covered my mouth and laughed softly. Oh, sister-in-law. My apologies, I did not realize. Since last night, you have become quite the celebrity in the capital. You know, I imagine everyone will be eager to catch a glimpse of you. I have no doubt that the guests will flood the gates of the marquisate on the day of your wedding to my elder brother. Xiao Qian let out a bitter laugh. You think stealing the title of heir will secure your future, Shunrueji? I swear I will make you regret marrying my younger brother. Someday, you will realize that marrying me was the only right choice, and when that day comes, it will be too late for you to turn back. He stood up and turned to the marquis. Father, I have already asked a fortune teller to select an auspicious date. The day of Bao's 1-month celebration will be perfect. I plan to marry Ruanyang then. The Marchioness slammed her palm down on the table, her voice ringing with anger. Impossible. The Jingyuan Marquisate will never take in a courtesan as a daughter-in-law. That was right. Ruanyang was a courtesan from the 100 Flowers brothel. In my past life, Xiao Qian had fallen madly in love with her there, swearing to spend his life with her, but because of the scandal, he could not marry her openly, and so he had poured all his anger and resentment onto me, blaming me for everything. But this life was different. Now I was married to Xiao Qifeng. I couldn't wait to see how Xiao Qian would manage to marry Ruanyang into the family without me standing in his way. Xiao Qian lifted his chin defiantly. Ruanyang gave birth to my son. I cannot let the blood of the Xiao clan live outside the mansion. Ruanyang knelt on the ground, clutching her baby tightly as her gaze fixed on me. Lady of the Air, everyone says you are dignified and magnanimous. I beg you, please grant my child and me a place to stay in this mansion. You are destined to be the mistress of the household now. Please let us enter, I beg you. Instead of begging the Marchioness, she knelt before me. I clutched my chest, putting on a look of shock and helplessness as I turned to my mother-in-law. Mother, today is only my first day as a daughter-in-law in this household. How dare I make such a decision? Please forgive me, I will obey whatever you command. Then I looked at Ruanyang, my voice soft but laced with reproach. Ruanyang, I am just a new bride who only entered the mansion yesterday. You did not beg the Marquis or the Marchioness for mercy, you came to me instead. Are you not deliberately trying to put me in a difficult position? I married into this family yesterday, and you just happened to give birth on the same day, throwing the entire marquisate into chaos. Today, I was supposed to offer tea to the elders and greet the clan relatives, before I even had a chance to get to know everyone. You knelt here to pressure me, a new bride, to let you into the mansion. What grudge do you hold against me that you must make things difficult for me at every turn? The person you should be begging is the future wife of the eldest son of the marquisate, not me. We are merely sisters-in-law, nothing more. The Marchioness slammed her hand down on the table again. Qian, I am telling you now, I will allow you to take her as your concubine out of respect for the child she bore you. But if you dare to take her as your lawful wife, the Jingyuan Marquisate will be disgraced beyond repair. Do not even think about it. Furthermore, now that the legitimate mistress of the household has arrived, her child must be raised by the legal wife. Tears streamed down Ruanyang's face like pearls. Please show mercy. My lady, Bao is my only child. I cannot bear to hand him over to another woman to raise. Xiao Qian retorted angrily. Mother, who I marry is my own business. Do I not even have the right to choose my own wife? The Marchioness looked at him, her eyes filled with deep disappointment. If you were still the heir to the marquisate, you would not have that right. If you insist on making your own choices, then you may request to leave the mansion and sever all ties with the Jingyuan Marquisate. Otherwise, the wife of the eldest son of the marquisate will never be her. Ruanyang collapsed into Xiao Qian's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. My lady, I did not choose to become a courtesan. I was sold into the brothel to pay for my mother's medical bills. When I met my beloved Xiao, I was still a virgin. I am pure and innocent. The Marchioness stared at her coldly. It does not matter why you became a courtesan. In the eyes of the world, that is what you are. No one cares whether you were a virgin or not. Qian, do you really think that if she becomes your lawful wife, the noble ladies of the capital will ever invite her to their gatherings? Do you think any of them will be willing to sit at the same table as a former courtesan? It would be a humiliation to their own families. And that would mean the Jingyuan Marquisate would be completely excluded from the circles of power in the capital. Is that what you want? You may be blinded by your infatuation and care nothing for the Marquisate's future, but your father and I cannot afford to be so reckless. If you insist on marrying her, then you may leave the mansion. We will pretend we never had a son like you. A smile tugged at the corners of my lips. Perfect. This time, I would see how Xiao Qian would choose. Sure enough, Xiao Qian backed down. How could he possibly give up the wealth and glory of the Jingyuan Marquisate so easily? That night, the little maid I had placed in the eldest son's courtyard came to report to me. She said that as soon as Xiao Qian and Ruanyang returned to their courtyard, they had begun to quarrel fiercely, exhausted both physically and emotionally just one day after giving birth. Ruanyang wept as she said, "My beloved Xiao, you promised me you would marry me as your lawful wife, that you would make me the lady of the Marquis's heir. But what has become of that promise? Your mother wants me to be nothing more than your concubine. Are we to let our son be labeled a bastard for the rest of his life?" Xiao Qian patted her gently, trying to soothe her. "Do not worry, my love, I will never let anyone wrong you. A title is nothing but a meaningless name. Even if mother forces me to marry some high-born lady, she will be nothing more than a figurehead. No one will ever come between us. You are the only one who holds my heart." Ruanyang looked up at him, her eyes red and swollen from crying, and choked out, "Really, swear to me that you will never touch another woman, that you will love only me for the rest of your life." Xiao Qian smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You are the mother of my child. How could I ever bear to see you sad?" When I heard the maid's report, I burst out laughing. My husband glanced at me, amused. "They are drowning in their own troubles. Yet you look positively delighted." I let out a cold snort. Delighted does not even begin to describe it. They thought they could humiliate me, make me suffer in silence. They were dreaming. When we return to my parents' home in 3 days, I will ask mother to help find a perfect match for your elder brother, one that will make his life very interesting. The scandal at the Jingyuan Marquisate had spread like wildfire throughout the capital. Everyone knew how Xiao Qian had abandoned his bride on their wedding day for his mistress, and how he had lost his title as heir because of it. Naturally, the noble ladies of the capital were unwilling to marry their daughters into such a household. No one wanted their precious girl to become a wife to a man who already had a favored mistress and an illegitimate son, but the ladies of the capital were not the only ones in the marriage market. Coincidentally, General Hu Wei had just returned to the capital to report on his duties at the border, bringing his wife and daughter with him. His legitimate daughter, Liu Rushuang, was a bold and spirited young woman with exceptional skill in spearfighting. The general had kept her unmarried all these years, hoping to find her a good match in the capital to spare her the hardships of life on the frontier. My mother's dearest friend, the Marchioness of Ningguo, hosted a tea party, inviting General Hu Wei's wife and daughter as well as the ladies of the Jingyuan Marquisate. Liu Rushuang and I were seated at the same table. I took her hand in mine, smiling warmly. "You are such a lovely young lady. From the moment I saw you, I felt an instant connection, as if we had known each other for years, as if we were family. Is this not fate?" I led her over to my mother-in-law, beaming. "Mother, look how well Rushuang and I get along. It is almost like we are sisters. If she could become part of our family, it would be a match made in heaven." My mother-in-law was immediately taken with Liu Rushuang. She took General Hu Wei's wife by the hand, and the two women chatted animatedly, hitting it off at once. By the end of the tea party, they were already treating each other like sisters. The two matriarchs reached an agreement in no time. One admired the bold, straightforward nature of the general's daughter, knowing she would not be easily bullied. The other coveted the prestige of the Jingyuan Marquisate, knowing her daughter would enter the household as the lawful wife of the eldest son. The exchange of betrothal letters, the presentation of gifts, and all the other marriage formalities were completed in record time. The wedding date was set for 2 months later. Soon, the day of Bao's 1-month celebration arrived. Xiao Qian insisted on combining the baby's full-month feast with Ruanyang's entry into the mansion as his concubine. Having finally recovered from childbirth, Ruanyang took her maids and servants out to shop for supplies for the celebration. At the splendid embroidery pavilion, she ran straight into Liu Rushuang. Ruanyang was sitting in the private flower hall, sipping tea, when her maid ordered the shop assistants around in an arrogant tone. "Our mistress wants a bright red embroidered wedding dress. Hurry up and bring us your finest pieces. Money is no object, we only want the best," seeing a wealthy customer. The shopkeeper scrambled to fetch all their most exquisite red wedding gowns. I was accompanying Liu Rushuang as she selected her wedding trousseau. Having come from the border, she had not brought any of these items with her and needed to purchase everything ready-made in the capital. She had just picked out a beautiful gown and was about to try it on when the shop assistant came over, apologetically explaining that a distinguished lady had taken a fancy to it. True to her reputation as a general's daughter, Liu Rushuang had a fiery temper. She slammed her palm down on the table, her voice ringing with anger. "Who dares to steal what I have chosen?" Ruanyang let out a disdainful snort from inside the flower hall. "I am the first lady of the Jingyuan Marquisate. Who are you to dare compete with me for a wedding dress?" Liu Rushuang's face darkened. She threw back the beaded curtain and strode into the hall. "First lady of the Jingyuan Marquisate. Xiao Qian's wife. I heard Xiao Qian just got engaged. When did he take a wife? I certainly never heard of you." Ruanyang lifted her chin haughtily. "Engaged? My beloved has told me many times, no matter what highborn lady he is forced to marry as his so-called lawful wife, she will be nothing but a pretty ornament. I will always be the only one in his heart. Let that so-called main wife have her title, it means nothing to me. My beloved has sworn to love only me for all eternity. What does it matter if his lawful wife comes from a noble family? I am the one who gave birth to the Marquisate's first grandson. Besides, who are you to meddle in my beloved's affairs?" With that, she picked up the wedding dress and handed it to the shop assistant. "I will take this one. Put it on the Jingyuan Marquisate's account. They will settle the bill." Liu Rushuang slammed her hand down on the dress, stopping her. "This dress is mine. You are nothing but a concubine. How dare you wear bright red? Is this the kind of disrespect allowed in the Jingyuan Marquisate? Does Xiao Qian think he can flaunt his mistress and humiliate his wife without consequence? Does he not fear being impeached by the censors? If he dares to let a concubine enter his household wearing a bright red wedding dress, what does that say about the Liu family's dignity?" Ruanyang raised her chin even higher, her voice dripping with contempt. "The Liu family is nothing but a bunch of rough military brutes. You should consider yourselves lucky that your daughter is even allowed to marry into a prestigious family like the Jingyuans. What more could you possibly want? My beloved says I can wear whatever I like." I stood up and walked into the hall, feigning a look of disapproval. "Ruanyang, you must not be so reckless. You are a concubine, you cannot possibly wear a bright red wedding dress. This is Miss Liu Rushuang, the legitimate daughter of General Liu. She will be joining our household soon, and you will be sisters. As the elder concubine, you should show respect to the future main wife. Put the dress down at once." Ruanyang jumped in surprise, standing up quickly. "Miss Liu, I beg your pardon. I only came here to buy a wedding dress. Please have mercy on me. I am a poor, lonely woman with a tragic past. I know I can never compare to a young lady of your noble birth, but is it really so wrong for me to want to be a real bride just once, to wear a bright red wedding dress and marry the man I love?" As the argument escalated, Xiao Qian walked into the pavilion. Seeing Ruanyang's tear-streaked face, he rushed over to her, his voice filled with concern. "What is the matter? Who has upset you?" Ruanyang threw herself into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "My beloved, I only wanted to wear a bright red wedding dress once, to be your true wife for just one day. Is that too much to ask? I know I will only ever be your concubine, but I did not choose to be sold into the brothel. I was still pure and innocent when I met you. Can I not even wear a red wedding dress for one day?" Xiao Qian's heart melted with pity. He patted her back gently, comforting her. "Who says you cannot? If you want it, you shall have it. We will buy the most expensive, most beautiful dress in the shop. I stepped forward, pretending to mediate. But Miss Liu also has her heart set on this dress. It is for her wedding day. Ruanyang is only a concubine. It would be highly inappropriate for her to wear such a dress. Only then did Xiao Qian notice Liu Rushuang and me standing nearby. A flash of panic crossed his face, but he quickly masked it with a frown. It is just a wedding dress. Is there really any need for such a fuss? Miss Liu, Ruanyang will enter the household long before you do. Besides, no matter what color dress she wears, she will always be just a concubine. She can never compete with you. Why must you be so petty? Slap. The sound of Liu Rushuang's palm striking Xiao Qian's face echoed through the pavilion. Her voice was icy with rage. You disgusting man, already with an illegitimate son and a favored mistress before even marrying me. And now you have the audacity to tell me not to be petty about a concubine wearing a red wedding dress. Do you think the Liu family is made of fools? This marriage is off. With that, she turned on her heel and stormed out of the pavilion without a second glance. The story of Ruanyang and Liu Rushuang's furious quarrel over a wedding dress at the splendid embroidery pavilion spread through the capital like wildfire. When Liu Rushuang returned to the general's mansion, she threw a fit, screaming and crying that she wanted to call off the engagement. When my mother-in-law heard the news, she was beside herself with anger. As soon as Xiao Qian and Ruanyang stepped foot back into the mansion, she let out a thunderous roar. You shameless hussy, kneel before me. You are nothing but a concubine. Yet you dare to buy a wedding dress meant for the lawful wife. You dare to quarrel openly with the future mistress of the household. Who gave you the right? Ruanyang knelt in the middle of the courtyard, trembling in silence, not daring to utter a single word in her defense. I hurried forward to intercede, my voice soft with concern. Mother, please calm down. Ruanyang has just given birth to the Marquisite's first grandson. She is still weak. Let us not anger her further. My mother-in-law's anger only flared hotter. She gave birth to a bastard, a curse that will bring nothing but trouble to this family. It is because of her that the Liu family looks down on us even more. Ruanyang, do you think giving birth to a son makes you invincible? Let me tell you this, our Marquisite is not short of heirs. A mere concubine with a bastard son does not get to run wild in this household. Guards, take her away. Beat her 10 times with the cane. Perhaps that will teach her a lesson, teach her not to dare defy her future mistress again. I quickly stepped in to soothe my mother-in-law. Mother, Rushuang is just angry, that is all. She has a fiery temper, but she cools down just as—
You must not let her take our son away from me. Xiao Qian laughed dismissively, patting her back to soothe her. She is just spouting nonsense. Bao is the first grandson of the Marquisate. How dare she lay a finger on him? It is true that any children I have with her in the future will be legitimate heirs, but Bao is my son too. Even if he is a bastard, I will never let anyone mistreat him. His constant references to bastard and legitimate heir cut Ruanyang to the quick, piercing her heart like a knife. I watched with quiet amusement as Ruanyang grew more and more distracted, sitting in the back garden all day long, holding Bao in her arms and staring blankly into space. Xiao Qian was too busy with his wedding preparations to spare her a moment's comfort. How ironic it was, their once deep, undying love had crumbled so completely, in my past life. He had ruined everything for her. Now, he had lost his title as heir because of her. And now, he was desperate to curry favor with his new wife's powerful family, hoping to regain some of his lost influence. Meanwhile, my husband Chifeng had been excelling at his official duties, earning high praise from the emperor himself. My father told me that the emperor had publicly commended Chifeng several times, calling him a man of great promise and saying that he would surely bring glory to the Jingyuan Marquisate when he inherited it. On the Marquis's birthday, the emperor even sent a special gift, praising the heir for his outstanding service and complimenting the Marquis on raising such an excellent son. This made my parents-in-law even more delighted with Chifeng and me, and even more disgusted with Xiao Qian and Ruanyang. In fact, My parents-in-law were so pleased that they took the family heirlooms, treasures that had been meant for the eldest son and his wife, and handed them directly to Chifeng and me. The future of the marquisate rests in your hands now, they said warmly. These heirlooms belong with you. When Xiao Qian heard about this, his eyes turned blood-red with rage. Looking at Ruanyang, who spent her days locked in her room weeping, he felt a surge of bitter regret, for her sake. He had lost his title as heir, for her sake. He had thrown away the chance to marry a high-born lady from a powerful family. One wrong choice had led to a lifetime of ruin. On the day of Xiao Qian's wedding, he and Liu Rushuang were about to drink the nuptial wine when a maid burst into the hall, breathless. Master, concubine Rui says that young Master Bauer has a fever and has been crying non-stop. Should you go to see him? Liu Rushuang slammed her wine cup down on the table, her face twisting with anger. Is my husband a physician? Tell that woman to stop her ridiculous attempts to steal the spotlight. If the child is ill, she should send for a doctor. What use is it to bother her husband? When Ruanyang heard that Xiao Qian refused to come to her, she flew into a jealous rage. In a fit of madness, she stripped Bauer of his warm clothes and left him exposed to the cold night air, whispering hysterically to herself, Bauer, your father is too cruel to care about us. Only if you become gravely ill will he finally come to see us. By midnight, Bauer's fever had spiked dangerously high. Ruanyang hugged her burning child to her chest and ran to pound on Xiao Qian's wedding chamber door, but she was quickly silenced by Liu Rushuang's nanny, who clamped a hand over her mouth and dragged her away. Tonight is the master and his legal wife's wedding night. How dare a lowly concubine come here to stir up trouble? Guards, slap her. Ruanyang stumbled back to her courtyard, her cheeks swollen and red from the beating, and held Bauer close, sobbing uncontrollably. It was not until a servant finally reported the situation to the Marchioness that a doctor was sent for, but by the time they arrived, Bauer was already convulsing violently from the high fever. Ruanyang was still weeping, her voice broken with despair. Your father has such a cruel heart. Bauer is really sick this time. I stepped forward and slapped her hard across the face, my voice cold with fury. You would harm your own son just to get a man's attention. You are a monster. The doctor felt Bauer's pulse and hastily wrote out a prescription, his face grave. The young master's fever has gone on for far too long, and he is still so small. Even if we can get him to take this medicine, there is no guarantee it will work. If his fever does not break by dawn, I am afraid there is nothing more we can do. Ruanyang collapsed to the floor, letting out a heart-wrenching wail. Bauer, what have I done to you? I did not mean to hurt you. I did not mean it. When dawn broke, Xiao Qian and Liu Rushuang finally emerged from their wedding chamber. They were met by the sound of wailing servants. A maid knelt before them, her voice trembling with sorrow. Master, young Master Bauer passed away in the night. When Xiao Qian rushed to Ruanyang's courtyard, he found her kneeling on the floor, clutching Bauer's tiny, lifeless body to her chest, muttering over and over again, I did not mean to hurt you, my baby. I only wanted you to be your father's legitimate heir. She had lost her mind completely. After Bauer's funeral, Ruanyang vanished without a trace. The entire marquisate searched for her, but she was never found again. From that day on, there was no longer any mention of Ruanyang in the Jingyuan marquisate. After their wedding, Liu Rushuang never conceived a child. When they finally sent for a doctor, the diagnosis was devastating. Xiao Qian's body was no longer capable of fathering children. Xiao Qian let out a scream of disbelief. Impossible. How can I be infertile? I fathered a son with Ruanyang just fine. Then, a maid discovered a small packet of powder hidden in Ruanyang's old room. It was a powerful contraceptive, a poison that rendered men sterile for life. I suspected that after Bauer's death, in her final moments of lucidity, Ruanyang had slipped the powder into Xiao Qian's food or drink. Without a moment's hesitation, Liu Rushuang filed for a divorce, citing Xiao Qian's inability to have children as the reason. Left all alone, Xiao Qian sat in his empty courtyard, muttering to himself over and over again, how could this happen? I was supposed to be the heir. I was supposed to have a bright future. How did everything go so wrong? Xiao Qian lost his mind. To cover up the scandal, the Xiao family sent him to a remote family temple, assigning 2 elderly servants to care for him for the rest of his days. As for Chifeng and me, we inherited the Jingyuan Marquisate. I gently placed a hand on my swollen belly, a soft smile playing on my lips. In the future, the Jingyuan Marquisate would belong to my son.